So as a cuddlist, you have a screening call. What does that consist of for you?
The screening call is all about letting the client know what to expect and letting me get a feel for the client and that what they are wanting is what I offer. And so somebody was just saying to me last night that, unmet expectations are really where disappointment or, anger or whatever come in. And as a practitioner, it's very much my responsibility to make sure the client has very, very clear expectations coming into the session about what I offer, what I don't, and who I am. So that's what the screening call is about.
Are there certain things that you say as standard, like you probably go over, protocols and whatnot. Are there things that you kind of have to let them know, hey, I say this to everybody, it's nothing personal, I'm not assuming anything about you, everybody hears this?
Absolutely. Whether somebody is a man, a woman, non-binary, whatever, I always say something like this to them. Because one of the questions that people often ask is, how do you make sure that this is a platonic thing? How do you make sure that it doesn't get sexual? How do you make sure the clients know it's not a sexual thing? And this is the way I do it. I say something like this. So as though you're the client, I'm just going to say it to you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Larysa, I don't think you're confused about this, but our culture is confused about the relationship between touch and sex. And since you're going to come to me for touch, I want to make sure that, I just say this straight up, which is this is a non-sexual session. And that means our clothing is staying on. We're not touching each other under our clothes. We're not making out or kissing each other. And we're not trying to create any kind of arousal. And is that what you want?
Yeah.
Awesome. And then the other side of that, because, arousal is kind of, there are two hands, the front of the hand, the back of the hand. And the other side of that hand is, I would never ask you to guarantee that you're not going to get turned on during a session, because arousal is a function of our nervous system. Most of us have very little control over it. So you'll feel whatever you feel, and I'll feel whatever I feel. But the agreement we're making is that neither of us are going to act on it. Neither of us are going to try to create that arousal, or if it comes up, we're not going to try to satisfy it. Does that work for you too?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I find that that's a really clear and direct way of addressing something that most potential clients have in the back of their mind somewhere, like whether they wonder if they're going to get aroused or whether they wonder if they're actually coming for sex work, but that's not what they're looking for. Like they really would like to be reassured and have it be really clear. And I'll also say that since I started doing that, just being really clear and explicit with my clients, there's been zero issue with anybody. And it's been really nice because when a client shows up and they want what I offer, then they're happy and I'm happy, and it's really satisfying for both of us.
That's awesome.
How about you? Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, could we try, like, I could become a character of a potential client, and we kind of go through what that would be like.
Sure.
So I am a senior citizen male who lost his wife around a year or so, and my grandkids live far away, so I just don't get the hugs I used to. And I'm pretty conservative, like I'm a religious guy, I'm not looking to go outside of my own moral boundaries or anything, but I miss, hugs and everything. And so I want to find out what this is it a fit for me, how would it go, etc.
Great. Well, I'll also say that my screening calls are usually at least 10, like 10 minutes is like the totally shortest. And sometimes they're as long as 45 minutes. So we won't do the whole thing here, but I would start out by saying, what would you like your character's name to be?
Bob.
Bob. Hi, Bob. So the way this call goes, I want to find out some things about you and what you're looking for, who you are. And I'm also happy to share some things about me, perhaps what a session is like, why I got into this, why I love it. And so, I could start or you could start. What do you prefer? Almost always the clients say, I'll start. Okay. And then they tell me about themselves and they talk about what they're looking for and who they are. And so Bob might say these things about having lost his wife and not getting the hugs and whatnot. And so we would talk about that for a while and I'd ask him some more questions. And then after I'd really satisfied myself that he was looking for this kind of session, I would do the other piece that I just said with you, and I would do it just like that, even with Bob the conservative. I say this with everybody, and I get that this is not where you're coming from, Bob, but it's just part of my protocol with all new clients. And, it's a non-sexual session. That means we're not touching each other under our clothes. We're not making out, blah, blah, blah. Because even Bob, the conservative Christian, might be worried about that, maybe even more so than somebody else. And then, the other things we'll talk about in screening, we've been in a pandemic for a couple of years now, so I'll let my clients know that I see both vaccinated and unvaccinated clients. They're welcome to ask me any questions they want. I've been seeing clients off and on throughout the pandemic, and certainly more so this year. And do they have any questions about safety or about protocols? And then they can ask me whatever they want. And I let them know things like, I have a cat, so if you have cat allergies. And interestingly enough, the cat allergies have been more of a stumbling block for people than other things, either sex or COVID. So
that sounds like an important thing to know, and could easily be forgotten. So glad all those things are in place, and hopefully we can go into more detail another time. I think this was a great chance to see what is the first step of becoming a Cuddlist client, what to expect, how does it go, and let the boundaries begin.
Exactly. And so people can go to Cuddlist.com, Cuddlist, Cuddlist.com, and you can look for a practitioner by the area you're in. If you happen to be in the Boulder, Colorado area, you can do /Cassandra with a K. And can they find you on there, Larysa?
Yep, I'm available for online sessions.
Awesome. So yeah, online sessions are another fun thing. We can talk about that another time.
Awesome.
It's been great chatting with you today.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yay.